Rebecca Loos' decision to go public with claims of an affair with David led to Victoria saying the aftermath was the hardest period for them both. Now, a new book by author Tom Bauer has told for the first time how Loos only spoke out after being outraged by David's treatment of a waitress. And he reveals how the seemingly innocuous incident was the catalyst behind the biggest test of the Beckhams' nearly 25-year marriage. In The House of Beckham, the author writes the turning point for Loos was realizing Beckham's double standards. After a meal for SFX employees at Madrid's Hard Rock Cafe, Beckham did not leave a tip. The following day, the waitress gave Loos a note for Beckham. Explaining that she survived on the tips, she expressed her anger that someone as famous and rich could be so mean. After reading the note, Beckham was alarmed. "Give her this," he said, handing over a thick wad of euros. Reflecting in February about how Beckham had played her and lied to her, Loos was angry. Loos, who was let go by Beckham's agency SFX, later sold her story to the New of the World, alleging an affair with the footballer. The Beckham's PR advisors quickly orchestrated a stage-managed show of togetherness on holiday in the alpine ski resort of Courchevel to try and offset the damage to brand Beckham. In a bravura performance, the couple clung to each other, she with an iron grip on his hand. Then they performed a piggyback and smiled, Bauer writes. But behind closed doors things soon turned ugly. Once the show was over, they disappeared into their chalet. As everyone drifted off, one journalist looked through the Beckham's chalet window. Posh was slapping Beckham hard on his face. Beckham, famous for his short fuse, did not retaliate. Victoria delayed moving to Spain, and her experience there was miserable. Her life in Madrid was lonely and unhappy. Although she had everything money could buy, she was isolated. With few friends, she was unwilling to learn Spanish. Her diet, rigorous exercise, and chain smoking reflected her anxieties. Their time in Madrid was also strained by Victoria's relationship with rapper Damon Dash, who promised to relaunch her pop career. She would frequently spend time in New York with Dash to produce an album which never saw the light of day. Dash's interference in the Beckhams' married life disturbed David. At the end of a Real Madrid press conference in early November, Beckham burst out, "All this speculation about my wife not being happy. It can't carry on, it's all rubbish. She's very happy here in Madrid. There are no problems in our marriage." Fast forward 14 years, and the Beckhams were once again fending off rumors about their marriage. At the center of increasing speculation, they were on the rocks. Victoria and her publicist decided to do a high-profile interview and photo shoot with Vogue magazine. That would be an ideal platform to crush rumors of a split, Bauer writes. The interview would be accompanied with photographs of the happy Beckham family. Beckham returned specially to London for the photo shoot. The entire Beckham family was to be photographed sitting as a harmonious group in a wooden rowing boat on a pond, which was to be shot as if it were a lake. But soon there was tension over whether David would appear in the shoot, with the footballer's publicist adamant that he would not take part. Not mentioned was Beckham's new opinion that his children should not be exploited for the brand, Bauer claims. Unspoken was his apparent fury with Victoria's endless self-promotion campaigns. He added the wrangling was followed by an outburst between Beckham and Victoria. Beckham relented. Finally, the family was shuffled onto the boat, but what followed was almost comic. Unexpectedly, once the six were afloat, Beckham insisted that his Cocker Spaniel Olive should feature in the shot too. The dog had 71,000 Instagram followers. Gingerly, the boat was pushed from the shore. Suddenly, Olive jumped into the water. Beckham was about to follow and rescue his pet. Screaming no, worried that his clothes would get soaked, several assistants plunged into the water to grab the dog. Victoria's face turned to thunder. Another argument blew up. A sulk descended. Plans for the family photo were ditched. Victoria posed only with the children and the spaniel. In the aftermath, Beckham and Victoria posed as a twosome, separate and looking rather severe. But they were, as ever, consummate actors. No one looking at the perfect images could have imagined the dramas over the preceding hours. The cover photograph would be of Victoria, and only with her 4 children. Later, the Vogue editor hosted a fancy dinner at Mark's Club in Mayfair. Bauer writes the rival Beckham publicists coordinated the separate arrival of Beckham and Victoria. Professional as ever, they posed holding hands with inscrutable smiles and entered the club. Unknown to the photographers, after 10 minutes Beckham left through a rear entrance. Victoria remained drinking red wine until, amid cheers, she stood on a couch to sing the Spice Girls' big hit Wannabe.